Wagwan everybody. In today's episode, we'll look at GTA 5's main antagonist, so Devin Weston, who is a billionaire investor operating in the state of San Andreas. In this video, I'll go through every important or interesting fact that I managed to find out about him in the game. I'm going to explain his full role in the story of GTA 5 and I'll tell you the most important or interesting information from his own website, Life Invader page, as well as his Bleater post, which for those who don't know, is a parody of Twitter in GTA 5. So let's begin with his role in the story. The first we hear about Devin Weston in the game is if we listen to Weasel News at the beginning of the game. In the report, we can hear that Devin Weston bought an 11% stake in Merryweather Security Consulting, so a private militia that just recently was given permission to operate on US soil. The next time we hear about Weston is also on the news after the Complications mission, when we can find out that the billionaire, this time, bought the majority share of Richards Majestic, a movie studio run by Solomon Richards. Additionally, in the report, we can also hear that this move was actually very much against the trend, as at that time in general, the investors were staying away from the movie business. Then we got the first moment in which we meet him in person in the mission By the Book. In that mission, we find out that Devin Weston has strong connections as he is a good friend of Steve Haynes, who is an FIB agent. Haynes also tells us that Weston is very popular with the ladies, shall we say, and also it seems as if before Michael and Trevor arrived, it was Weston who was torturing Mr. K. The reason I think that is because of this dialogue.
Please, keep the slick bastard away from me.
No, Ferdinand, he's gone. He's gone.
And as we know, slick is a term that Devin Weston simply loves and calls the protagonist by it all the time. Plus later, when we are properly introduced after delivering him the IAA bonds after we stole them from the convoy for Steve Haynes in the Blitz play mission, Michael will call Weston a weekend interrogator. In that moment, we also find out that Weston is a straight up arsehole, but a very well connected arsehole. He asks Michael and his crew to perform a series of scores for him, for a handsome reward of course. Additionally, to convince Michael, who is a big fan of the old movies, he hooks him up with Solomon Richards. So just for the record, a guy who ran a movie studio that Weston had a significant stake in, a movie producer who was apparently planning to retire. Apparently, because it soon turned out that in reality, it was Devin and Solomon's son that wanted to retire Solomon in order to turn his movie studio into a theme park and an area for condos, but more about it later in the video. Next, all three protagonists meet up with Weston and his heartless lawyer, Molly Schultz, who simply admires Devin. The job that the billionaire promised turns out to be to steal 5 luxury cars of Devin's acquaintances so he can sell them for good money to some Chinese politicians. He also seems to like Franklin a lot more than Trevor and Michael, which makes sense. I say that because of what he states in one of his bleats, in which he advises to only invest in potential rather than reputation. Franklin was a young, skilled gangster. He was lacking experience, although the potential was big. It also matches the fact that Devin is a venture capitalist, which means he invests in small firms with big potential and then earns money once the company achieves success. It's blatant that he values potential over reputation. This is not only shown by how he treats Franklin, but also later with Lamar. Devin looks very excited to get another young money-hungry man on board. And then we got the fact that he describes Trevor and Michael, who were older, as the worst kind of a disaster. It also fits to one thing that is mentioned multiple times on is it his website, his Life Invader or his bleeds. Devin Weston likes risk. A lot. He thinks that if one is to achieve success, they have to take many risks. Check out this statement on his website for example. Here, he says flash trade some Afghani junk bonds, then go cave base jumping. He applies this rule not only to business, claiming that the risky moves are the ones that are going to make you the most money if successful, but also that the best way to indulge life is to perform extreme sports, as the adrenaline is what makes us feel alive. Another one of his commandments on his website is literally always take risks. He says that in order to move forward in your life, you have to be able to leave your comfort zone. And that's when you get the most valuable experiences. Plus, also on his website, he describes himself as a person of an amazing tolerance for risk. And as well at the end, he states that the odds on him becoming a president are 3-1, but that he'd never take a bet that safe. In another one of the commandments, he also claims to have lost 10 times more money than he earned while still remaining a billionaire. It fits what I said before because potential can be compared to risk but a bigger reward, while reputation can be compared to safety but a smaller price. Because when you choose to hire someone who's not proven but seems to have potential, it may not work out, but if it does, they're going to serve you better and for longer, because someone like that is going to be young and innovative. Meanwhile, if you decide to hire someone who's already experienced and proven, the chances that they're going to get the job done are a lot bigger. However, a person like that, due to his age and experience, will probably not be very innovative and will be able to maintain your position, but it will be harder to progress. I hope you get what I'm saying. Going back to the story of GTA 5, after the protagonist managed to acquire all of the desired vehicles for Weston, Devin, instead of paying the protagonist, he invested their payment in his alpha fund, promising to pay them once the time's right, apparently to avoid any suspicion. This significantly angers especially Franklin and Lamar, but not Michael, whose relationship with Weston was very profitable for him, as it meant still being able to continue working with his idol, Solomon Richards. That, however, did not turn out to be that easy, as Weston's plan concerning Solomon's studio was finally to be realized. See, as it turned out, the reason why Devin bought a stake in Richards Majestic and linked up Michael with Solomon was for Mikey to help Solomon push the Meltdown movie project until it's almost ready, so that he can step in, irreparably disturb the production of the movie in order to get a massive insurance payout so he can tear down the movie studio and turn it into an area for condos. This is exactly one of the dirty methods of Devin Weston, manipulation of the insurance. This is not the first business he tried to ruin in order to get massive insurance, or at least that's how I understand one of the statements on his website, claiming that Devin deliberately bankrupted more companies than he has had hot dinners. Another thing is another one of his bleats, in which he says that the market is always right in the end, but it's your job to make it go to water and force it to drink, which I think is a polite way of saying if you want to make millions, you gotta be full of shit and manipulate the market. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, because I'm not an expert in all that investing and insurance thing. Moving on though, Michael stops Weston from sabotaging the production and the film gets released. In the meantime, the best of Weston's lawyers, Molly Schultz, also dies in a nasty accident while trying to escape Michael. However, Devin blames Mike for her death and also for the fact that he ruined his plans concerning the movie studio, and soon after, at the premiere of Meltdown, he sends a whole team of the Merryweather soldiers to Michael's yard, where his family was staying. Michael manages to save his family, and Weston is not satisfied and determined to get revenge on Mike. Right after the protagonists pull off the biggest score in the world's history, Devin asks Franklin to kill Michael. And now obviously we've got 3 endings, and depending on what we choose, Devin's fate differs. So I'm gonna go through every one of them, starting with something sensible, so the ending in which we do not listen to Devin and listen to Steve Haynes instead and decide to kill Trevor. In that scenario, there isn't literally anything interesting to say about Weston. The only thing is that his business with Merryweather did not work out, as the malicious clearance for operating on US soil has been cancelled. In the Kill Michael ending, there also ain't a lot to elaborate on, just simply Devin is happy that Mike's gone and tells Frankie to fuck off now basically. The C ending is way more revolutionary for the 51-year-old investor. That's because he simply gets killed by the 3 protagonists, which seem to have pleased some people, like Don Percival for example, so the owner of Merryweather, who was happy with Devin's death because he could now buy his shares for a reduced price. And that's all you have to know about Devin's role in the story of GTA 5. As we can see, my man is a fraud. He manipulates the market and plays dirty to get even more and more money. Now let's have a look at the most interesting things about Devin from other sources like his Bleater account, his Life Invader page, as well as his own website. Starting with the latest. The first thing I want to show you is something that in my eyes also indicates that the insurance fraud that Devin did with Richards Majestic Company was not the first time he pulled off such a thing. One of his statements on his website goes as following: you gotta look at companies like women. Get them when they're vulnerable, strip them down, desecrate them to the point of collapse, then flip them around for the money shot. And here again, I may be wrong, but it kinda fits the pattern of Solomon's company. He buys a share at the company while it was vulnerable, cause as we said, the movie market was not the greatest space for the investors at the time. Then he messes up the movie production and flips it around for the money shot, in this case manipulating the insurance policy. Another interesting fact that we can find out from the About Devin Weston section on his website is that he earned his first million at the age of 23 and spent it in just a week. He also graduated from the local university with great honour without attending a single lecture. He often mentions how easy it is for him to trade shares in the market, earning bare money without a lot of effort. We can also clearly see his lack of respect towards money, as he claims that $1 million is nothing in his opinion, and that he used to buy cars for a quarter and then crash them at high speeds for fun. Weston earned his fortune in the tech bubble, so he capitalized on situations where people got too excited about certain technology companies, which resulted in their value being overly inflated. He also has a mentee, Ray Navarro, whom he saved from the law after he pulled off a market manipulation fraud in 2008. Devin Weston also has his 10 commandments, some of which were already mentioned earlier. Other interesting ones include Devin claiming that he works maximally 2 hours per day and the rest of the time he spent on self-improvement. He also does not recommend going to college, and apparently he's fluent in Chinese, Spanish and Thai, and that he learned it all just by running ultra marathons. Devin also puts in a lot into his spiritual side. He is a massive fan of yoga and he often meditates. On his Life Invader page, he even claims he performs multi-million transactions while meditating. In general, on his Life Invader page, he brags about how great, rich and influential he is. For example, that he has a sexual relationship with the president's wife. Yeah, who has to be very young considering that Devin has a rule that he only has sex with girls under 21. Some of Weston's recognizable holdings include Richard's Majestic Productions, Merryweather Security, Dynasty 8 Real Estate, so a website on which we purchase properties in GTA Online, Vanilla Unicorn Strip Club, Debonair Cigarettes, as well as Mollis, which both are mentioned during Lester's assassination missions. So as we can see, Devin Weston is a very selfish, self-centered, egoistic, narcissistic and fraudulent piece of shit. However, he has made billions. And one thing we could all learn from Mr. Weston is that in order to achieve success in your life, you have to take risks. Be able to sometimes get out of your comfort zone and embrace the stress that comes with it. And that's when you truly will gain valuable experiences and learn how to deal with difficult life situations. However, what we have to remember is to not take this mentality as far as Mr. Weston, because the success that Weston achieved from taking such massive risks is obviously very unrealistic, and there's a reason why it's only in a computer game. So yes, we should be willing to take risks, but that doesn't mean we have to spend all our savings at the casino at one go. You know what I mean? We should also remember that we should be respectful toward others and not cheat on our way to success, as even Devin, in the end, got what he had coming to him. Let me know if I should have mentioned anything else, and let me know in the comment what's your opinion on Devin Weston. Thank you for watching. Respect.